The beginning of Seifa kata has a stepping, pressing, bringing it round and stepping out to do the next bit. In Sanseiryu we see something very similar. Okay, and the point is that it's actually quite similar to the beginning of the kata empi or wanshu. So in some kata we're taught a bit of movement, and in some kata the shorthand has got so shorthand that all we get is a static posture. But in the end they've all got to be moving. Okay, so when we look at the application for this posture, you get to see how you can lead on from there with any of the techniques from those kata. But we mustn't let this just be a preparatory position. It's got to be able to do something on its own anyway. So we like to use an analysis, literally, bunkai, of the code of kata. And one of the keys that we've spotted is that if hikite is pulling the wrist back to the hip, because that looks like a fist coming back to the hip, and you haven't got any other reason for bringing a fist back to your hip, then what that does is to put the elbow in the middle of the solar plexus. If the elbow's in the middle of the solar plexus, then my grab on the elbow will also trap the wrist, and the grab on the elbow doesn't end up looking like a fist because the elbow's too big, you just can't get around it. So it looks more like an open hand. When we formalise that, we'll make it flat and neat and tidy so that we can perform our kata and make it look nice. So once you've got that as your code, this is receiving an elbow and this is receiving a fist, this is pulling a fist, this is pulling an elbow. And then you see positions like this. Why wouldn't you say, well, that's an elbow and that's a wrist and I'm going to put them together? Now, you could try, I'm going to hold that elbow and that wrist and put them together, but that doesn't really seem to be something that's going to stop him. He's still very much in control, on balance, and able to take you on. So instead, we think to ourselves, right, from here, I'm going to want to take an elbow and take a wrist. Now, how on earth are you going to grab hold of that? Well, it could be that you're at the threat stage and you simply take it. It could be that we're already in the middle of a scrap, something's come in, and you take it this way. We receive the elbow, receive the wrist. And then the fun part is trying to put those two things together. Because obviously there's an arm in the way and they won't go. But when you try to push that elbow and that fist together, then you get that kind of effort, and it requires body movement in order to do it, and it's going to take their balance. You watch the shoulder line here. Oh, we've gone the other way up this time, don't worry about that. And you see the same idea as we push the wrist to the elbow. The balance has gone and we're now able to either break or lock or do something in addition, such as taking hold of this and driving it up and over while I drop my body weight and pull that back to here. That would be how we use it for MP, wanshu. This idea of turning the body, receiving here, pulling this in. I could change and pull this into here and just continue the snap this way, or go into any of the other kata that you can see. So the point of this week's Bunkai Strategies is to take a theory, and if the theory seems to hold, then maybe it's useful. Maybe it's what it really was. Loads of other things it could do, of course, but that's one way of looking at it.